All right, welcome back, everybody. Judges and contestants here. It's 3 o'clock, and we are right on schedule here to hear from the group with their product and business called Byte Size. So welcome. You have 10 minutes for presentation, 15 minutes for questions.
Thank you very much. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Salagi. I'm here with my colleagues Joy Farrar and Lexi Ossinger, and we're here to tell you about a company called Byte Size. But before I get into that, I'm going to take just a little bit of your time to talk about the war on terror. Not terror, mind you, but rather terabytes. Today, a multitude of companies are generating a demand for increased data analytics. Now, with this demand comes the need for advanced processes regarding data collection, storage, and in the case of Byte Size, mobility. Now, I'm sure Peter Paul can attest to the fact that data is much like a fine wine. It gets better with age, and you're always left wanting more of it. Now, with this increase in data comes larger data sets, and with larger data sets comes larger file sizes. These file sizes present companies with a massive problem when they want to exchange, compare, and contrast data. I apologize, we're on the incorrect slide. Moving forward. So the traditional method for large file transmission looks a little something like this. Now, we've all seen one of these before. Let's pretend that this flash drive is actually a set of hard drives that can store 10 terabytes of data. So if I want to send a bunch of data from UNH to researchers in Tokyo, I need to download all my data onto these hard drives and ship them via snail mail to Tokyo, where they can then be uploaded and the researchers can access my data. This is a very outdated process. Is it switching slides on its own? Yes. All right, I apologize for that. I'm going to try to fight it as best I can. So now, as outdated as this is, you're right, we are not the first people to try and solve this problem. File transmission services do exist. However, the vast majority of them cap out at a max file size of 100 gigabytes. Now, we don't see this as a solution to the problem. Enter Byte Size, a software-as-a-service company that offers its clients an avenue for large file transmission up to 55 terabytes in size. We provide enterprises a simple, fast, and easy way to ship files that would otherwise be too large to send over the internet. To tell you a little bit more about the underlying technology on which Byte Size operates, I'd like to introduce our product owner, Lexi Ossinger.
So our biggest asset to our company is this flows technology. This is the algorithm that runs our product. This is created by Dr. Elizabeth Varkey. She is a computer science professor here at the university, and she actually is seeking a patent for this technology currently. So the patent is pending. So what this does, it breaks these large files into bite-sized little pieces, and then sends it across the internet. So think of it like a modular home, like this massive home. You don't just try to send an entire 5-room home down the freeway during rush hour. This wouldn't make any sense. So you break it up into small, more palatable pieces, which you're able to send on small, like secondary roads and things like that. So what this does is it breaks these files into these pieces, and it packages them together and then sends them out with traditional transmission protocol uses like FTP, HTTP, things like that. So, this market. Right now I want to tell you that cloud storage is a hot button topic. Right now in 2015, the market is about almost $19 billion. Looking forward, they expect it to be about $65 billion by 2020. So this market is very large. So where we fit into that is the data movement and access solutions segment, which is a smaller part that is not currently being accessed as much at all. So who are our customers? Our customers are people like large institutions like these, academic institutions that need to send large files to other institutions, to different consortiums, things like that, where this data needs to move across the world. Also, other people like that is healthcare institutions, big data analytics firms. These guys are the ones that really need our help. You can ask any large company right now, and their biggest thing they're talking about is machine learning, big data, cloud computing, things like that. That's where we will come in and help out. So when snail mail right now is the the current industry standard, it's not going to be that hard to upend this when we are the ones who are able to make these large files able to be transferred in a really fast manner. So to talk more about our competitors and who is currently in the market is Joey Ferraro.
So today's competitive products include ShareFile, Microsoft Azure, and Dropbox. However, Microsoft Azure only allows you to download files onto their data facility, while ShareFile and Dropbox only allow for file capabilities up to 100 gigabytes. This presents an opportunity for Byte to emerge as a product leader in large file transmission services. Where does Byte acquire its revenue? It's going to be software as a service subscription monthly basis, which will be offered through 4 pricing tiers to reflect the varying transmission sizes for different enterprises. We will also offer a free trial period to funnel the sales pipeline, leading to qualified leads and sales. In a globalizing economy with a growing need for large files that are faster and more easily accessible, enterprises are forced to download files on a physical hard drive, which is then shipped via postal service to their destination. This costs enterprise an immense amount in shipping and, more importantly, time. Byte-sized technology is a solution to today's growing need for large file transmission services. Thank you.
So at this point, we're ready to field any questions that you may have.
So perhaps I missed the part somewhere, but why do I need to move files from one sender to another? Couldn't I just access them remotely and run my analytics in the cloud? I don't know if that's an immediate question. So why am I moving big files on storage
Versus the using the cloud.
Yeah, why not access them remotely?
Why can't everything you're asking here, why can't it be done on the cloud?
The current protocol does not allow for the up to over terabyte sizes. With this, it would allow so.
Just a follow-up to this. So one of the things I'm involved with is the e-discovery industry and the legal industry. And in that industry, if a company is in litigation, for instance, they may have to collect and gather terabytes of data and send it to an e-discovery provider to be processed and to be hosted and these types of things like that. So that typically is done via FTP or through a hard drive. Now the question I have falling out of that is, when my clients are sending data to my company, they typically are doing it overnight, so it's not quite snail mail, and media is pretty cheap. So if we're dealing with like 2 terabytes, they can slap it on a hard drive and get to me. And so while it's a little bit rudimentary in approach and not all streamlined and electronic, how is that going to compare financially, with your services? Are there going to be cost advantages as well through using Byte, or is it still going to be more cost efficient to do it sort of the old-fashioned way for the average use case, would you say?
So the cost advantage is more the time savings is the biggest thing. Because say you need this now, you're going to spend many hundreds of dollars to get it across the country. With us, we are more just, we will be cheaper in the long run because we have these bigger sizes that are able to be accessed as compared to what the current competitors in the market. So I think it's more of a time savings, the biggest thing that we are after currently.
Just to follow up on that as well, Lexi. Another advantage is companies that work with tremendous amounts of volume. So companies that are moving 50 terabytes as opposed to 2 terabytes. Our subscription tiers certainly offer price savings over shipping when you're moving that much volume.
So would this be an app that sits like on a corporate server that people funnel things into, and then it will go over FTP sort of over time, kind of broken down? Is that the
correct? Exactly. It's a scheduler, so it's breaking things up and then sending them at different times that is more optimized. Because the biggest limiter in this is bandwidth. So what are the 3 things you can control when you're sending a file? You can control the amount of transmissions you make, you can control the time you send it, and you can also control the size of the file you're sending. So if you break these down and you make sure that this algorithm is scheduling these 3 things, then that's the biggest advantage that we have.
I think the one thing I'm having a problem with this is you're too late into the market. What's going to happen in the future is that huge data farms that are being built in the cloud, And you're saying it's only got this limitation. They don't have that limitation. That's an arbitrary business model limitation. That's not a machine limitation. That's not a source limitation. The other thing is that in most cases, you don't need all that data. The data doesn't really need to move from the point of origin. All it needs to move is an intelligent communication mechanism that's able to reach out, like the web crawlers do today, and simply finds that data, brings back only what you need. It's called the minimum extraction model. I build these all the time for large hospitals. We wouldn't think about moving. AHS's data farm now is almost 100 terabytes. We move all the data we need from it every single day.
Let me ask then, how secure is it?
Well, use the same transition protocols like any other. So it packets things sends over the internet, just like anything else. So if you don't trust us, then you just don't trust the internet.
It would be encrypted notion.
Well, I'm trying to find advantage here. That's what I'm trying to find a reason.
But you got the same bundling. In other words, no matter whether you use that technology, whether you use the technology we're using, we're doing it all through bundled encryption.
Well, no, I get that. What I'm trying to look at here is from a cost savings perspective. You can go onto the Amazon cloud, for example. It's already certified by, all the security agencies in the U.S. But can you move a terabyte of data?
But the thing is, once you have it there, why would you move it?
Well, my point is if you want to give people access to that amount of data, how does it compare price-wise to doing this? Right? Because the problem is I think we're comparing apples to oranges a little bit. Little ways here.
Well, I think that's the problem is you've got to look at what the market's doing. And today, divide and conquer in place, moving less data across wide networks, with the analytics occurring in the point of origin, point of storage. Don't move the mass data, you leave the mass data in place. That's where most of the people I work with are going. I'm working with databases typically 10 to 100 terabytes. Our common databases and most of the companies I work with, we're not moving that data other than to a backup storage facility. We're analytically using it where it's in place, on the engines it's in place.
How is the share file with Citrix?
Correct.
What do they look like financially?
Financially?
What does it cost?
What do they cost? What are they doing? Do we have any idea how well
So
their
let's
business is doing?
say you were to send 100 gigabytes, that is $100 a month.
Okay, but I'm trying to figure out if their market share. I'm trying to see because I look at Dropbox as a cloud, honestly. I don't know about Microsoft Azure, but Citrix ShareFile sounds like the closest competitor to what you're proposing.
Correct.
So I'm curious what that looks like, that company looks like financially over the last 3 to 5 years. And what I'm trying to get at here is if you're seeing a growth in, the Citrix ShareFile, right, as a business, your CAGR is growing, then you have an argument that counters our argument right here. And that is that there is no market, the market's going to decrease, right? So if you can find that trend line from somebody like a ShareFile, the one I'm using here, then you'll get a better indication of what that market's going to look like going forward. Because they're in it, they're already fighting it. I think they're different from Dropbox, if I'm not mistaken. You guys know better.
Correct.
And it doesn't make a difference what they're charging. You can always make a competitive argument, but what you want to see is what is the market doing. And if they're starting to climb, or they can show growth rate over the last 5 years, I suppose, and maybe a forecasted growth rate of a little bit more, then you can counter the argument that the cloud is going to take away your business.
But you're transferring files in a synchronous manner. You send it from somewhere, you receive it somewhere, you don't store it in between like Dropbox does.
No,
Correct.
Okay.
So you guys have heard a lot of comments. We'll give you a chance to sort of address or seek clarification around some of the things that you heard.
Well, my one rebuttal was for the market not being there. There are limits to the bandwidth that is currently present. So just with this, the bandwidth is the capability. It schedules it so that the capability is there now, not just peak times and things like that. So.
Again, are you going to provide a separate pipeline, or are you going to use the commercially available pipelines that are already out there?
Using currently the commercial pipelines that's
So
there.
aren't you bottled by the exact same bandwidth limitations that everybody else is bottled by?
They're eating the elephant one bite at
That
a
is our
time.
benefit, is that we have an algorithm
Yeah.
to packet these and send them out in smaller pieces and at different times. So the timing is really the key. So we're not going to send things at peak hours. We're going to send things later at night where the volume isn't there.
It also bans an array of similar networks, so if we're going from Durham to Tokyo, there's obviously a time change, so there's always an optimum time to be sending large segments of data through those different bandwidths because the time is different.
You're taking into account the tariff regulations and tariff requirements. When you're moving large, vast amounts of data like this, you're going to want to be able to look at tariff models for the networks that you're moving through to find your optimum path for that data. If you're moving massive amounts of data, that's one of the, you know, so you're addressing the algorithm. You know, there's a lot of algorithmic things you can address in this, but in the end, you're still piggybacking mass movement of data on the existing backbone infrastructure. And you're skinning the cat in a slightly different way, but I don't see that that's particularly unique. I'm trying to see what the uniqueness is of what you're doing. Your algorithm, is your algorithm patented? Is it
Correct.
patenting on it? Interesting.
The subscription model itself, is that per license? You're not just gonna charge a company like, General Dynamics or General Electric $100 a month.
That's correct. So per license would be, you'd set up a user who would be in charge of doing this. So a company like Google who was moving or collecting tons of data from analytics, when they wanted to move it from one place to another, if it was just one user, then it would be charged there. They would have multiple users within the company.
I can imagine if that were a model, something that also had sort of volume built into it as well, so it's a static subscription fee, and then you've got, right, you're gonna charge.
I just think you link some money on the table is all I'm thinking.
Yeah, so you can capture that if you sort of charge them for utilization as well on top of the seat.
Yeah, I think you gotta charge a seat fee. And I'd make it a minimum of 5 or 10, maybe, depending on the size, and then you can have, accelerators if they cross a certain number, It's just be careful on your subscription tiers that you're not leaving money on the table, because if you get $100 a month out of Google and $100 a month out of, it's hard to make a living that way.
I mean, we're definitely looking towards the larger transfers. That's obviously where we differentiate from other players in the market, and that's where we have a drive and placing plan for those types of transactions.
Yeah, I just think you can take a look back at one of the benefits of the software as service is its recurring revenue and its exponential growth, right? I mean, so you're going to get your recurring revenue, but to take advantage of that, you want your sales team when they go in, and then you want them to win Google.
Yeah.
Because when you win Google, it's not $100 a month. It's a significantly bigger piece of the pie because you want them to have 1,000 people, 1,000 licenses, and $100 a month.
Have you explored a model, and I know this is around building sort of a business, but would an interesting be model when we were licensing the algorithm to everyone sort of in this business today? So rather than sort of developing the solution, you're developing the shovel, and you're selling a tool to each of these providers. I mean, if Citrus had this, would they think, oh my gosh, this is awesome, and therefore your patent is worth a lot, there's no way to design around it, et cetera?
License it out.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider.
But it's something I would take a look at, because that's another beautiful revenue stream, and it saves you a lot of the trouble. I guess you can even look at the cloud.
Well, I'm not saying for this company, but sometimes it's challenging to build a company around an algorithm, right? As opposed to saying, everyone needs this, and I'm going to charge you all for it, and you can go out and you run these models. Right?
Yeah.
Explain to me how that works as a software as a service. Do I have to install it on my own servers, or do you provide a service that does the scheduling for me?
You have to actually have that on your computer.
So it's not a software as a service, it's actually a software.
Well, it's running through your servers, right? I mean, you're
Yes.
Oh, so you're
Yeah.
in the middle of the
Yes.
transactions.
The meat and potatoes is on our.
Okay.
There's some sort of interface you have to interact with.
Very good. You all set?
Well, Nick, one last question. When you're talking about this, what is your anticipation of how the data, particularly when he's getting into the large multi-terabyte systems, how is that data going to get from the client to you for transport?
Could you rephrase that? I'm sorry.
In other words, if you're going to be moving this, you're going to install something, bottleneck and limitation of most of my larger clients is tiny pipelines to the wider area network that companies are already paying an exorbitant fee for. They're not going to want to hear about having to buy broader pipelines. The biggest question that we also ask is, how fast can I shove this massive amount of data through my own leased lines, leased equipment to you? You're going to transport it to that end point for them.
Yep.
But he's got to get that data to you.
Yes, I think the point is it's tough as a SaaS if I have to get the 50 terabytes of data to you, and then you do something on your server and send it along, which is different than a model where your software is on my corporate server and all the magic is kind of happening there and you don't have to pipeline.
So you're going to tie your server into some very high-speed backbone at my site, where I can dump this very, very rapidly into you, and then you'll take it from that point forward and out, and it's no longer my problem, it's your problem. You're going to guarantee, you're basically doing a guarantee store and forward model. You're going to guarantee to store and forward my data and reassemble it at the other end in some reasonable amount of time.
So I get, just for me for clarification, so is the magic like at my place, the company, the client, or am I sending something over the internet to you and the magic's taking place, in the cloud and on your server?
Imagine it happens on your end, but like
On my end.
our algorithm machine behind it is on our end.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. So the data still sits in your side of things.
So I'm limited by my pipelines.
Correct. It's normal commercial pipelines.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions because they finished presenting early, so we'll give them that time back. So.
You know, my question.
And all the judges had their questions answered. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.